Hi, I'm Chad with Move Forward Guitar. This lesson is from our series, How to Memorize Guitar Notes. In this lesson, I'm going to show you how you can memorize the notes on your fretboard by learning and playing licks. First off, if you like all the diagrams from this series, including the diagrams from this lesson, you can download our free e-guide, Memorize Guitar Notes. But I am working on it right now as I'm filming this lesson, so it might not be available as you're watching the lesson. But once it is available, a link will pop up on the screen that will allow you to download it. And like I said, it's free, so there's no reason not to download it when it is available. This is part 21 from our series, How to Memorize Guitar Notes. If you'd like to go back and start at the beginning, you can click the link on the screen. So in this lesson, I'm going to show you how you can use licks to memorize notes up and down your fretboard. And like a lot of the other lessons, this not only helps you memorize notes up and down your fretboard, but it's a really useful tool to use because it's really important to be able to play a lick anywhere on the fretboard and play it in different octaves and see what it sounds like. You don't want to learn a lick and then be forced to play it in one spot on your fretboard. You want to be able to play that same lick in as many other spots as it sounds good. And to be able to see what sounds good, you have to be able to quickly find where those notes are in the same order. So first off, just find a lick. You can find tons of licks on YouTube. For starting out, I recommend just learning a lick that's really simple, just like a 3 or 4 note lick that's easy to play and easy to memorize. So for example, if we took a group of notes right here and made a lick out of it, and we played A flat to F to E flat back to F, that could be a little lick right there, A flat to F to E flat back to F. Play those notes in order, put a little rhythm to them, you have a lick right there. And this is just a simple lick that I'm showing just so I can explain how to do this. So now what we're going to do is find this lick, these same notes in the same order everywhere on the fretboard. And to start off, we'll keep it with the same grouping of strings. So if you're on 2 adjacent strings, when you move to the next place on the fretboard, keep it with 2 adjacent strings. So if I played it on the 1st and 2nd string, the next place I want to find it is on the 2nd and 3rd string. And also for starting off, we want to find it as the unison notes. We'll find the octaves in a second, but starting off, find the unison notes. So we're going to take this grouping of notes and find the unison to each one of these notes now on the 2nd and 3rd string. And that would be right here. And the shape changes because you're on the one spot on the fretboard where the tuning's different. So that's why the shape changes. Everywhere else on the fretboard, when you're dealing with these with just 2 adjacent strings, the shape will actually look the same. So then you'd find those grouping of notes on the next set of strings and you'd play them in the exact same order, just play the lick the exact same way that you learned it. So A flat to F to E flat to back to F, played in the same rhythm, same way, just to make it sound the exact same. And since you're playing unisons right now, it should pretty much sound the exact same, except that your string gauges will change it a little bit. And then just do it as many places you can find it unison. So it'd be right there next, and then right there next you'd be able to do it, and then you've run out of room. And you can see how everywhere except with the 2nd and 3rd string place that I played it, the shape was the exact same. So on the 1st and 2nd string it looked like that, and then on the 3rd and 4th it's the same shape, and on the 4th and 5th it's the same shape. So that's the first thing you want to do, is just find all the places you can play unison on your fretboard. Then that's a really important thing to be able to do when you play a lick, so that you can play it anywhere on your fretboard and have it sound the exact same in the same pitch. Next, you want to find it in all octaves. So to keep it simple, stay with just 2 adjacent strings, but find it in any octave. So any place that these notes land anywhere on the fretboard, not just unison notes to where we started. So you could play it here, you could play it here, and just find any place you can play those notes together, same distance apart, play the lick the exact same way, but now it's going to sound a lot different because you're in different octaves. But then you can try that out and see if it sounds good in different octaves. And like I said, that's an important thing to do with licks. When you learn a lick, try it out in all the unison spots just so you can play it up and down the fretboard, but also try it in different octaves and see if it sounds good in other octaves. Not all licks do, but it's worth trying to see if it does. Next, what you want to do, we'll just go back to the original place that we played this lick, is just find as many different ways as you can to play the same lick. And start off by doing it with unison. So what you can do is just take one note and move it to a unison note. So I, for example, could take this F and move it to a unison note. So now the shape of the lick has changed, but all the distance between the notes are the same, and you'd still play it the same way. You'd still play A flat to F to E flat back to F. It's just instead of going to this F right here, you're going to its unison note right here. So it's going to sound pretty much the same. Then you can move another note. You could move this E flat to its unison note. and you can do the same thing. Now you've changed the shape of that lick again, so it's going to be a totally different way that you play the lick, but you want to try and play it the same way you played it when you started out, so it sounds the same. And these will sound pretty close because these are all unison notes still, but still just play A flat to F to E flat back to F in whatever rhythm you started. And now you're really open up the fact that you can play this lick anywhere. And you could do it again, you could move your F to a unison note. Again, these are still all unison notes to where you started, so it's going to sound basically the same, except the string gauges will change it a little. And this really opens up your eyes to where these notes are landing. And then it's also good for your technical ability because it's forcing you to play the lick with the same rhythm, try to get it to sound the same, but your shape is totally changed. So, for example, playing these notes this far apart is a lot harder to play them than how you started. So not only are you helping memorize notes and break your fretboard apart, and this exercise is actually really good for ear training as well, but you're also helping your technical abilities by being able to play a lick the exact same way spread out all over your fretboard. And then you could do even something like this, which is totally spread out over your fretboard, but these are all unison notes to where you started. Because your original E flat was here, and your original F was here, well, my unison F notes would be here, here, and here, so those are all the exact same pitch, and my unison E flat notes would be here and here. So those are the exact same pitch as well. So even though this shape looks crazy now compared to how we started, it still has all the notes in the same pitch. So you'd still play it the exact same way, play A flat to E, to F to E flat, and then you could play this E flat, which is a unison. So instead of going back to this E flat, you play this E flat and then to F. And so really try to get the lick to sound the same way that you started off and play the same rhythm. Just try to get it to sound the same. Like I said, that'll really help your technical abilities and help you find these notes all over the fretboard. And that was just one example of a lick. You could learn any lick and do the exact same thing. Like I said, when you're starting off, just keep it a pretty simple lick so that it's a lot easier. And if you find a lick that covers a bunch of strings, you're not going to have very many options for being able to move it to unison notes. So it's better if it's just covering a couple strings. That'll make it a lot easier to do this. And then before you even learn other licks, you could take the same lick, and something that'd be really good is just to move it to another key. So now this is the exact same lick, except now you're in a new key. You just moved everything up a whole step. So now instead of A flat to F to E flat back to F, now you're going B flat to G to F back to G. So it's going to sound the same pretty much, except now it's going to be in a higher pitch. And then just do the exact same thing that we did with the lick when it was in its original key. So then you can move it through all the keys. Now you're going to just totally open up your fretboard, be able to find notes anywhere at any time. And doing this is pretty fun to do because you're doing something musical, but it's also just totally expanding your abilities, your technical abilities, your ear training, your memorization of the notes on the fretboard, and much more. So that's how you can memorize notes, by learning and playing licks. And this is probably the last lesson I'll be doing in this series unless I come across or think of something that I think would be a really good exercise. Like I said, the whole point of this series wasn't to follow every lesson and have to work on every exercise. That would take forever, and you'd probably learn all the notes before you got through all the exercises. The point is that everyone learns differently, so one thing that works well for you might not work well for another person. So the point is just to go through this series, find the exercises you like, and focus on those until you've really mastered where all the notes are up and down your fretboard. And my goal is just to give as many different tips and tricks and exercises that I could think of that I thought would be helpful, and it's up to you to choose what you like the best. So be sure to check out our other series and lessons. We've got lots of them. We add new lessons every day. Check those out. And be sure to download the e-guide for this. All the diagrams are in there, and be sure to subscribe because, like I said, we add at least one new lesson every day.